How are you guys doing today? You made it through yesterday. Welcome to day 2. We're going to get things kicked off in about a half an hour, but I'm Charlene O'Hanlon. I'm one of the MCs. I'm also moderating a panel this morning, so I hope you can all stick around. And Jeremy?
Yeah, always exciting on day 2. My name is Jeremy Rosbeck. I'm with Broadcom and emceeing as well. I want to thank all the folks at my Triple T yesterday. We had more people than we had seats, so that was really exciting to see something like that. But Charlene, what was one of the things that you really stands out from day 1 for you?
Oh my gosh. I really enjoyed Tom Gillis's presentation. And to your point yesterday, those were some amazing slides he had.
I don't know how he did it.
No, but Project Glasswing, that session really illuminated a lot of unknowns for me. So that was also really great.
Yeah, and I might be biased, but the Broadcom session with Hassan, it just blows my mind the amount of gigabits we're pushing through NICs or CPUs. I mean, he was talking about 800 gig, bandwidth on some of the devices that we're putting out there now. And the GPU speeds. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just insane. I would love to be able to see firsthand what an entire server rack of GPUs actually look like, because I think it would be pretty fabulous. But yeah.
Yeah, it really is kind of mind-boggling the amount of throughput that we're seeing these days. But, obviously AI demands that, so the technology's got to be keeping up with it. I did a lot of time, a lot of paces, a lot of miles on the floor yesterday, talking to all of our vendors out there on the expo floor. Really great technology I'm seeing out there. I was very impressed with quite a few of the technologies. I won't actually go into more about that because I'm one of the judges for the Best in Show.
So Best in Show, yes. So. If we, just a few reminders here, everyone knows we have the closing party tonight up near the pool deck, 4th floor. If you haven't been to one of these closing parties, they always are a lot of fun. They have a band come out, a local band who invites and is happy to invite anyone with or without musical experience to come up and play with the band. I've done it a handful of times and it's always a ton of fun. I must say Onug and the team put on a pretty damn good show for end of day 2 to celebrate all the success. So that's always fun. And then when do we announce the Best in Show award?
That will be happening at the end of day today. I'm not sure. I think it's maybe around 5 o'clock or so.
Okay, yeah, right. Probably right out here on the show floor where we're having drinks.
Right.
Right. I must say, I look at the agenda for today, I'm always excited to see what FedEx is doing as they stand apart from how they are innovating their entire tech inside of that. And then Mark Leary, I don't know if he's out there in the audience or here yet, but he's a good friend of mine from IDC that we've worked with a lot around network observability. So really looking forward to his insights around that. He's always at the edge and the cusp of what's going on inside of networks and network observability, network monitoring, et cetera. We take a lot of his advice to heart at Broadcom, and I'm sure you guys do as well.
Yeah, and the ONUG Connect session at 10:30, looking at the AI-driven enterprise WAN from static circuits to elastic, secure, and consumer-controlled connectivity. Again, that kind of gets my geek on, so I'm looking forward to that conversation between Ben Edmond, Tony Farinacci, Brian O'Connor, Anoop Pahad, and Chris Schubert. So, yay! Looking forward to that one.
And that's the one you're doing?
No, that's the one that's right after mine. At 9:45, I'm hosting Tom Gillis, Michael Milligan, James Beeson, and Sue, I think her name. My gosh, she's Susan. Thank you. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be about build versus buy, a frontier model consumption or private enterprise infrastructure. And again, like I said yesterday, it's one of those tales that's old as time. We have this conversation whenever technology hits a milestone. Is it better to build, or is it better to just rent or buy infrastructure? And so same with AI. What are the benefits? What are the pitfalls? What are the challenges? And what are the expected outcomes? So looking forward to that conversation. It's going to be a really, really fascinating one. And it's also all of the panelists are CISOs, so we're looking at it very heavily from that security perspective.
So we're going to do something different, and I hope the tech team will be happy with what this idea is. I'm going to take the mic, so is Charlene, and we're going to poll the audience as we walk around and ask you guys what are some of the best things you liked about yesterday, what are some of the things you're looking forward to today. Patrick, I'm definitely going to hit you up. And we have giveaways for everyone who participates. I'm just asking for 30 seconds of what you thought was great about yesterday and maybe what you're looking forward to today. So we're going to have you stand up and face a camera that is behind you.
Oh, and there are no wrong answers?
No wrong answers.
I mean, you
right?
could say the breakfast buffet.
You get a participation trophy, so you can do whatever you want. So, Charles, I met you yesterday. Come here. Let's turn around and take a look at this. And I met Charles yesterday at the booth. Really nice guy. Some of his side projects are a lot to do with community outreach, so we had a lot in common already. But why don't you tell us what you loved about yesterday and something you're looking forward to today?
So I think the most interesting thing that I learned yesterday was that it's pronounced mythos, not mythos. I thought that was pretty fun. Also, I attended this great talk called the 4 mandatory use cases for AI driving your knock. I thought that was really exciting because agency and integration of artificial intelligence in operations is a key use case, and it's really exciting to see what Broadcom is doing in that space. And then I would say that probably one of the most alarming presentations that I saw was Cisco's sort of mythos crisis presentation, but their response to that is also very intriguing and interesting.
That was great. I did not pay him for that plug, so I appreciate it. Thank you, Charles. All right, another volunteer, Susan. How are you?
Good morning.
Very nice to meet you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you liked about yesterday, or maybe something today you're looking forward to?
Good morning, everybody. I really liked the conversation with the panel yesterday afternoon about Q-Day and how do you prepare, and what are people thinking for quantum key distribution or crypto agility. So I really enjoyed that. And then the hallway conversations too were amazing. There was a group of us at a table and we were just talking about AI usage and how you use it for observability in a network. And then really was interested in what Cloudflare had done with AI enabling their environment in a safe and secure way.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right. Anybody takers here? Patrick? All right, I'll do you next. This is Patrick. Patrick Hines is with the Ameriprise. Patrick, tell the audience what you liked yesterday or what you're looking forward to today.
Well, I think the value of coming to a place like ONUG is in talking to your peers, talking to people who have different ideas. And so over lunch, we had some great conversations. Over breakfast this morning, we had some great conversations. And that's what I like best about this. And I look forward to the same thing happening today.
Great. Thank you, Patrick. All right.
All right.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Charlene.
So let's see, I got Madhav.
All right. Let's look in the camera there.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about what you liked about yesterday. It's all right. We're good. We're good. Tell us what you liked about yesterday, what you're looking forward to today.
Sure. I am an engineer, and this is my first time to ONUG. I didn't have such a big opinion on conferences because most of the time they're super busy, and you get lost in roaming around in all the booths, etc. But this one is different for sure. I could talk to so many people and a lot of knowledge and openness to give opinions and sharing their knowledge. I like it really well.
That's great. Great. Thank you. Awesome.
You got another one?
I don't, but I can get one.
There you go. There, right there.
Okay. Hi. What's
City. I go by Manny.
Okay, Manny. Go ahead. Let us know what you liked about yesterday, what you're looking forward to today.
Yeah.
I like this. AI is a buzzword. So everybody likes to come. And yesterday when I walk in, I was seeing all the interesting, curious faces, what we are going to get new, because AI itself, like changing every 1 month. Like vector database is gone now, it is coming next. So I'm from Citibank. Like our colleagues, 65 of us came here yesterday. And our director gave a panel one agentic fabric overlays and everything. Yesterday was a very good session. It was like even the vendor booth, those are really, it's not like giving out the goodies, but they give out the knowledge also. Because some of the key things, like for example, like Zscaler, we are using Zscaler, but when we interact with them, the technical person can tell us, okay, this is what and everything. So I'm looking forward more of those technical sessions from the technical booth and the keynote yesterday. That was really awesome. That if you see that demo of how the rogue agent come and disturb within 1 minute, 3
That
seconds.
was cool, wasn't it?
That was an eye
Oh,
opener.
my God.
Anybody wanted to jump in? It was like, first let us check our port for those things. So it was really good. But I was wondering to ask, will we get that deck yesterday one for the users, or we can
You know what?
download or something?
I'm not sure, but check back with me.
Okay.
I'll get you an answer for that.
But thank you for
All
this
right.
one. Really appreciate
Thank you.
All right, thank you. 1 second, right here. What's your name? Doug.
So I was here last year, and it seemed like the agent AIs were a big deal. I was expecting a lot more of that this year, but I was really surprised that, well, not surprised, but security seems to be a big deal, and starting with the Mythos and the Glasswing, and that seems like it's a really big deal there. And then people talked about securing your resources when you have these agents that you're giving more and more autonomy to, another thing to look out for. And then the third thing was the whole idea of Q-Day, which I guess maybe I hadn't really seen that coming, but that seems to be a big deal too. I got home and I talked to my wife. I said, there was a Y2K, and I'm telling you, this Q-Day is coming, and it's going to be Y2K all over again. So anyway, cue the preppers, but definitely a good conference to talk about security.
All right. Thank you, Doug. All right, coming. All right.
Walk up there.
No, they're on. They're on.
Oh, I forgot.
right
This is
there.
the AI conference.
That's
Cameras,
right.
cameras can
We're
move.
streaming. That's right. Right here is great.
I'm Praveen Injapuram. I work for Wells Fargo. This is my first time attending ONUG, and all I can say is why I have been missing ONUG for all these years.
Oh, that's awesome.
Lots of insightful sessions. I especially like the 6 AOMC controls that they shared, the 3 use cases from eBay. And the last session we had around quantum computing. So that was very insightful. What I'm looking to unpack or understand from today's session is there's a lot of talk about frontier models and private models. When is the right time, or what's the right use case or the customer base when you deploy your private models versus go use the frontier models? I know there is a session lined up. I'm looking forward to it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Hi, Trey. Thanks for talking. So what did you enjoy yesterday?
Good morning, everybody. Definitely enjoyed Nick's demo video yesterday of the rogue AI agent that did the multi-million dollars worth of blast radius damage. That was very eye-opening and scary, to be quite honest. Hoping that will be made available to the attendees so we can share with some of our leadership. And today, looking forward to the session this morning with FedEx Freight. Michael Milligan and Prashanth Carney of FedEx or myself. Of course, we're divesting FedEx Freight, so on June 1st, I know those two guys have a lot on their plate, and to be here with all that work going on is amazing.
That's great.
Also, my first ONUG, so
good.
I just moved to the North Texas area from Memphis, so I was able to drive here. So
Oh,
here we go.
great. Well, welcome. Michael's actually going to be one of my panelists also in the build versus buy. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well.
Anyone else?
Thanks, Trey.
We got giveaways.
Do we?
I have to go
Nobody
get them.
told me.
I have to go get them. No? All right. Well, I appreciate everyone
Yes.
for their participation. That was fun, and it worked
was
out.
fun.
So
Yeah. All right.
back to our Tonight Show desk. You know, it's funny because, we always have security here as well, but it does seem in the age of AI especially after Nick's presentation. It does seem to just be such a growing concern, besides visibility, besides scaling, et cetera. I did talk to Nick about how he built that little demo he did, and it said it took him a long time and many, many iterations to get it down, but I would love to see some of that, the prompts for that made something like that work.
Did he say he built it in Claude?
Or Claude, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that really, it, I was pretty terrified actually watching that, because I could see that that's a very real world event. I mean, that could happen. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen, anytime. I mean, so it kind of gets my wheels spinning. Are we prepared for something like that? What do you think?
No, no, not at all. I just hope for the best, and the worst may happen. But I just thought of something, and for those who have kids out there, raise their hands, 20s, teens, 20s. I mean, I use ChatGPT for everything. I just use ChatGPT to write my LinkedIn post, Every time my kids see me do something like that, they don't want me to do it.
Really?
Yeah, this generation is, well, from what I've seen, they don't want to use AI because of what it may or may not be doing to the environment, and they have to deal with it once we're gone. But I'm just wondering, Patrick, you want to say something? Here, let me give you the mic.
Hi. It's not just the environment, right? It's also what the perception is that it's doing to artists. What the perception is that it's doing to their future, right? When we talk about layoffs and things like that, and I agree that that's not what we're seeing right now, but what we are seeing is AI taking a lot of that introductory opportunity, the junior engineers, the system administrators, the junior coders, all of these positions that used to be filled by people coming right out of college. Those positions are getting sucked up by AI. And so I think a lot of kids, and my kids are 19, and they are definitely anti-AI, but I think that's coloring a lot of what their perception is.
With respect to that, it was a conversation that I was having with another colleague about the fact that there are no junior coders or junior developers out there now because of AI, and that's a broad statement. But his point was, if we don't have the juniors, then how are we going to get to that mid-level? So there's no way for those people who are graduating college to gain that experience to become a mid-level. And so I think the industry as a whole needs to consider that and make some sort of changes or create some sort of guardrails around wholesale use of AI to eliminate that entire level of employment.
I was, Patrick just mentioned artists. I was talking to the guy who's running the film crew, and he's an amazing musician, fiddle player. But I was talking about him and AI and music or musicians. And, I've been a musician all my life. I spent most of my time studying instruments and putting in the work and music theory and all that. And I don't know how I feel about someone throwing a song up on Spotify and it's making $100,000 and getting 1 million likes because they never learned an instrument or they weren't vocally trained. And I struggle with that,
Yeah. I mean, so we've seen some really great uses of AI over the last day or so, and we're going to see some more today. Everything that I've seen so far still keeps humans in the loop, for the most part. And I think if we utilize AI to be that tool instead of wholesale replacement of people, I think that is the path forward to ensuring that we don't create this continued disparity between the haves and the have-nots and those who know and those who can do. and those, who just perform via AI. I think there's always going to have to be that human element regardless, whether it's the arts or writing or editing or making music or making code. There's always going to have to be that kind of human overseer.
You're a musician too, so
Well-
AI seems to take that passion you get when you're performing in front of people. I mean, it steals some of that. I don't even know what the feeling is. You know what it is. You're a musician. I mean, that feeling of learning something, of nailing a song or nailing a vocal arrangement.
Yeah.
AI steals that from you.
When that switch just flips up and you're like, I got it.
Yeah.
But that's not just the arts. That's everything.
Yeah.
Right? So when you can say a sentence in Spanish and all of a sudden it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I know how to speak Spanish.
All right, I'm going to ask you to keep going because I'm going to get the giveaways for our participants.
All right,
So
great.
Sing a song.
No, don't make me sing. Don't make me sing. No. So what do we got about, 5 more minutes until we're kicking things off. So just to recap, we've got our first presentation is with Michael Milligan and Prashant Karn from FedEx. They're talking about moving fast with AI, how FedEx scales innovation with smart guardrails. And then again, following that is my panel discussion with Tom Gillis, Michael Milligan, James Beeson, and Susan Kotsky. Thank you so much. I don't know why I'm blanking on her name, but I'm really, really looking forward to that panel discussion. Build versus buy, again, one of these questions that probably will never have an answer to. The ONUG Connect at 10:30, that is the AI-driven enterprise WAN from static circuits to elastic, secure, and consumer-controlled connectivity with Tony Farinacci, Ben Edmond, Brian O'Connor, Anoop Pahad, and Chris Schubert. And then following that is Glueware. We've got AI network automation in the real world at OSU Wexner with Ernest Leffner and Brian Kingsley. Then our friend Mark Leary from IDC is going to be talking about how to achieve network observability success in 2026. And then we break for lunch. So a jam-packed morning. And then I do invite everybody to, during the lunch and throughout the afternoon, check out the vendors out there on the expo floor. There's some really, really great technologies out there. And then I see Nick. How are you, Nick? You want to come up and say hello? You can. I won't kick you out. You can sit here. So.
I'll be virtual Jeremy. It's hard to kind of be any kind of Jeremy, he's got like such a kind of outgoing personality there,
Yeah.
So how's everybody doing today? Everyone good?
Outstanding.
Awesome. I love that. Outstanding. That's really great.
Jeremy and I took some microphones out into the audience and got some comments from folks, and so far so good.
How awesome. Yeah. Yesterday was a great day.
Yeah.
Really super day. And, looking forward to like today's, sessions, as well. And just the kind of discussions that will happen, kind of out there, in between our conference sessions.
So what, in your humble opinion, what do you think was the best session yesterday?
I don't know about best, but I do know flow. I thought like yesterday's morning flow was like really great. I have to say, John Feldmeyer was like really good. Tom Gillis's slides.
We were talking about that. Those were amazing.
They were so good, it was almost like Tom wasn't on stage. He was actually part of the presentation.
Yeah.
He really did such a great job. So that was really good. And I thought the town hall meeting that we had around Mythos and, Glasswing. What a name. What does Glasswing come from? It's like, but
crazy.
But that was, I thought all of that was like really good. And then just kind of discussions.
So we actually got a couple of requests for your presentation yesterday. Is that going to be made available?
I know it's online now. Slides themselves, we can post them as well.
They're interested in your simulated
Oh, on the demo?
Yeah, demo.
Well, the demo is on GitHub. So anyone can go to Git, it's the ONUG Git repo.
Okay.
And pull the code there and just kind of run it in a terminal mode, and, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
All right, so it is there. It's the GitHub ONUG.
Repo, yeah.
Okay.
So it's just ONUG. Just go to GitHub and just search for ONUG and you'll see AOMC and you'll be able to kind of pull the code there.
All right, great. Well, we are almost at the 1 minute to the top of the hour, so we're going to go ahead and get things kicked off. So again, thank you all for joining us this morning, and I am looking forward to a fantastic day.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, excellent.
All right.
Let's go.
So, thanks. Yeah, thanks. Well, you can have your seat back.
Michael Milligan is the Chief Information Security Officer at FedEx Freight, where he sets the strategic direction for cybersecurity, regulatory compliance, and risk management. Protecting the digital assets of an organization of more than 40,000 team members. He's also leading the security strategy for FedEx Freight's planned spinoff from FedEx Corporation into a standalone public company. FedEx Freight is North America's largest less-than-truckload carrier, with nearly 30,000 vehicles and approximately 365 locations across all 50 states, Canada, Mexico, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, keeping one of the world's most demanding supply chains moving 24/7, 365. Please welcome Michael Milligan and Prashant Karn to the AI Networking Summit stage for our fireside chat.
Good morning. Can everybody hear us okay?
Yep, good morning.
Everybody doing good this morning? Coffeeed up? Good. Excited to be here with Prashant to talk a little bit about, I think, a topic that is really important for everyone in the audience and for all of us for sure in our enterprises, and that's really about scaling, putting guardrails while we scale AI. I know for us, Prashant, it is very much top of mind from us from a risk management. I've been to the FedEx board meetings several times, to be honest with you, over the past few years, and nearly every time on our FedEx board, we are getting questioned about what are we doing about the risk management around it, right? Not as much about from a pure tech play perspective, but how are we managing risk? And the board remains very, very interested in that. Before we get started, Prashant, how many people in the audience first time to ONUG? Can I get a show of hands? Wow, great. First of all, I want to welcome everybody to ONUG. FedEx has been, really a stable and part of ONUG for a number of years. Ario, I'm going to ask you to stand up and wave your hand. Stand up, Ario. So Ario's kind of been at the helm for FedEx with ONUG for a number of years. And, FedEx invests a lot of time, a lot of energy into ONUG because it's the practical discussions that you guys probably went to the sessions to yesterday, right? It's things and tidbits. You can't take everything back. It's unrealistic that, as much information is coming at us. But taking bits and pieces of that back really makes a difference, right? And that's why we continue to, be a big part of ONUG, and we're proud to be a big part of ONUG, to be honest with you, with that as well. So. But I wanted to, talk a little bit about that. Prashant, let's start with some introductions. Start with you.
Hi, my name is Prashant Kane. I and my team manage identity and access management at FedEx Freight. That's for both human and non-human.
And then, as you guys saw in the video, right, Michael Milligan, Chief Information Security Officer for FedEx Freight. And right now, and I'm going to show you guys, I'll go to the next slide here. So FedEx Freight, if you don't know, is divesting from FedEx Corporate. It's a $10 billion divestiture. Prashant and I have worked pretty much every day since January to make the divestiture happen. quite complicated, as you can imagine, quite sophisticated. We run 24/7 operations, so minimizing disruptions, hopefully while packages are making it to your homes, safely and securely. We've got about 40,000 team members in our LTL business, and again, we are the leading in the industry, market share owner in terms of that, and about somewhere from 350 to 360 service centers around North America. So as we approach day one, I will tell you, what are we thinking about in terms of AI guardrails, and what does that look like from a FedEx perspective? When I think about day one, Prashant, where we're headed, and why that's important, just the sheer magnitude of everything that's coming at us right now from the business looking to lean into AI, our tech partners obviously looking to AI. I really worry about the data, right? The data, protecting the data classification and the importance of the data. Kind of what are you thinking in terms of we're approaching day one, what are you thinking in terms of AI governance?
Yeah, so the first thing that I would look at is the team. Get the team, assemble the team, get your AI governance, AI standards, acceptable usage policy, and make sure that your entire user base is aware of that particular policies. And then I would start with the data, because you need to classify your data, you need to know the cleanliness of your data, and then when you are planning to roll out any agentic AI solutions or any solution that involves AI, I would start at identity and access first. I would understand hey, what is that AI bot or agentic AI agent doing? What type of privileges that it has? Does it have the right privileges? Is it overprivileged? And then I'll put the right authentication authorization solutions in place. And then not only that, once the solution is in place, the next big thing, the next big challenge is to understand what is happening in your environment. If you do not monitor, if you do not have observability on your agentic AI processes, then pretty much you are blind. You don't know what's happening in your environment. So you have to constantly, look at the transactions, look at who is doing what, and then modify your plan accordingly. And then it also based on your use cases, right? Your business use cases. So first understand what is your business use case? What is your data? Where is that data? How can you connect the AI processes to your data? And then you go from there.
So, and the next thing I really think about, and as we're approaching the separation, which is June 1st, we've absolutely started leveraging AI, to really help us, enable us to get there securely and efficiently. But it really starts with, I think of a framework in terms of our partners, right? So the legal team in the audience here, how many people are working with legal, with anything with AI? You guys engage with legal teams? Yeah, absolutely. They're actually a critical partner. As we started standing up inside of FedEx, we stood up an AI governance committee, and myself and my legal partner and finance partner, tech partner, really obviously kind of govern that to really look at exactly what you're talking about, Prashant, in terms of a funnel to understand where is the avalanche of AI, coming in, and then how do we govern that to make sure that we really protect that data and understand that data. That's really critical. On the app side and the infrastructure side, Prashant, your partnership maybe with those teams, because that's critical, right? I mean, those teams are absolutely critical for us to make sure we're governing and managing that. It was interesting yesterday when we were talking some about, a lot of people think, a prompt engineer is full stack developer. And that's not necessarily the case. Many of you guys in here, probably are, relating to some of the fact with that. But what is, your engagement like with the infrastructure team, the app team, related to AI? How are we making sure we're managing some of those non-human identities and governing that aspect?
So these days, like it can be an infrastructure product or the core infrastructure itself or a application, right? Everyone has some level of AI offering. So you will have to understand like what is that AI offering and what does it bring to your business, your enterprise, right? And then you engage with the stakeholders and understand their use cases, like how they are planning to use the AI, right? And then we offer advisory services from information security in terms of data governance, data sensitivity, and then, of course, identity and access management. So we take every agentic AI solution, services, bots, we provide a identity and we manage a identity lifecycle for that non-human identity. So once we onboard a non-human identity, from there we understand the use cases, what it's trying to touch, and then we provision the required access to the downstream systems. So we run certifications, so the app owner, the management responsible have to look at the non-human identity and then they have to certify that yes, that's the right access, or they work with us to change the scopes of that particular access that being provisioned for that agentic AI.
And then, and that's a great point because for us and the governance committee that we have and we established, right, AI governance committee we established at FedEx, the intention obviously is for those use cases to funnel in through our committee, right? So we look and see, what is the use case? Is there replication? Right. What tools can we use to monitor it? What data are we looking at? And all of that is really important. And the number of requests, and I jest a little bit, but it is a lot because we monitor, right, the number of AI solutions that are out there. But it is a lot that the business is really looking to do. And there's so many, it feels like sometimes it's so federated and there's so many use cases, so much demand that it honestly can be overwhelming a little bit, I think, from a governance and risk perspective. But I would assume that most in this audience at times probably feel that as well, just the onslaught and the amount of demand that, especially like sales and marketing teams like that are really pushing hard for those types of solutions. But it's pervasive, right? I mean, it's so pervasive, Prashant, in terms of you've got the SaaS, right? You've got the providers that are investing, billions into this, right, that we're leveraging, right? We've got some homegrown, obviously, that we're doing and that we've continued to do. And then you've got some connectedness and you've got some hybrid, I think, in there as well. Just from a volume perspective, when I think about that, honestly, I think from a CISO suite perspective, what I think about is the risk and the data. I do go back to that. I do think about the access and how we're managing that. Do we have the right controls around that? And then, key things like, data loss prevention and other tools and technologies that we're using to kind of monitor and log and some of that, from a technical standpoint. What are we doing in terms of, some of that to make sure that, from a risk, we continue to mitigate risk around that?
Right. So anytime like we look at a AI process solution or an offering from a product or a vendor, it can be a native SaaS offering. We really understand like what does that bring to our business use cases. So we look at like, is the AI offering clearly giving advantage to the administrators, or is it giving more kind of a leverage to end users? And then once we understand, we run through the AI council, and then we lock down on the use cases, like what is accepted and what needs to be being discussed with the vendor to see like, hey, is there anything that we could change, or can we get a fine-grained authorization model for that offering? Is it cloud to cloud? Should it be cloud to cloud, or should we have a gateway sort to funnel everything so that we can have more eyes between what's happening between two SaaS solutions? And then, as I mentioned, observability is a very key aspect. So you have to continuously monitor, understand who is doing what, how the data is flowing, Is there any leaks happening? Where are the logs? Are the logs adequate? And then you put enough alerting. When something goes wrong, you get alerted before the end users alert you.
So you can see at FedEx what we're doing is, oftentimes they'll say InfoSec is Big Brother, and guess what? Yes, we are Big Brother. We will absolutely monitor and check and control and make sure that we have the oversight, because the risk is to our employee base, obviously, to our customers, to our third parties. And so we do look, we do monitor, and we do have those guardrails. It's frankly important. One of the things that we're doing right now, which is quite interesting, is I really am, eager for the team. We're I think at the goal line on this is actually using AI for security reviews, right? So which is somewhat, the volume of requests that we have come in, as you can imagine, at FedEx. We've got about 7,000 applications in total. 600,000 team members on the FedEx side, 220 countries, so the volume is intense. And we have to look for automation, right? There is no other opportunity than to look for us to help automate. And with that, we're actually leaning into AI to help us with the security reviews and of themselves. So there's a little double, a little double standard. It feels like at times right there that we're leaning into it. We do have the man in the middle. But I think, Prashant, for us, as we're leveraging automation, and AI for our security reviews, it's important for us to really make sure that we're understanding, the information request that's in that security review that it has in of itself, and that on the AI side, we're getting smarter and smarter about finding our gaps, right? And so what are the compliance gaps, or if it's a vulnerability or whatever it is, right? Access management, making sure that as we're training our model, right, for that review, the business is obviously changing with that, right? So it becomes imperative for us to really, continue to educate and train our team members around that. So, your vantage point, which is a key piece of this too, is the people aspect, right? In terms of training our team members to really complement the automation around AI. Your perspective, you're leading a team, right? So your perspective on AI, training our teams around that.
Yeah, so it's very important to let your team know that, hey, you can't ignore AI. It will come to you in some form or the fashion, right? So you need to engage your team, understand, help them out to go out and take, courses, and then get them trained, be aware of what's happening in our own domain. So you can look at hey, I'm always a system administrator, a DBA. Then, you have to let the people know that, yeah, you are a DBA or a system administrator, but you can automate few of the things that you do on a regular basis. That's where AI comes into place, right? So it's constant learning, training, and also engagement to help out the team, saying that in terms of, understanding what they can do with the tools available. So it's not just take the course and you are done. So you have to constantly keep your team engaged, and then make sure that they are aware of all of the things happening in the AI world.
And from that perspective, Prashant, another way I really look at this is in terms of AI is moving so fast. There is no denying how fast, and the capabilities that are getting deployed are phenomenal. And we are in a great age right now, I think, from a technology perspective. There's no denying. I think everything you guys have seen over the past day of what's happening, it's really an exciting time to be in tech. And it's the core security principles we have, like least privileged access, the security principles that we carry forward. AI doesn't necessarily alter any of those core principles that we have in information security, and we manage those core principles and those core standards that we have as tightly now as we did 10 years ago. But I think what AI does do is it exposes your gaps and your weaknesses at lightning speed. And so as these projects and agilities and everything else is coming through and they're moving fast, it's up to all of us, right, in this audience. I mean, we're a community, right, to make sure that we keep security at the top of mind, right? Inside of FedEx, we say, you know, we're all InfoSec, frankly, and we really hold that true in terms of around being part of the InfoSec organization. So, you know, I think one thing you guys, you know, do need to take back is making sure, you know, what control and guardrails within your organizations and reach out to your InfoSec team, right? And if your teams need to be educated around what are the security controls and guardrails, I would encourage you to reach out either to your CISO or someone with that organization to get, you know, awareness around the guardrails that your teams have. You know, another piece that for Prashant, for me, that really, you know, is top of mind, I'm sure it's top of mind for everyone in this audience too, is proliferation of data, right? So the controls that you have inside your network, right, are, you know, you lose, you don't necessarily lose, but you do lose some control of that when you go external, right? And in these LLMs, right, that are external, understanding the contractual process is an important piece, and it's a piece that, frankly, none of us like probably, is reading a, you know, 300-page contract to go through that. But it is a core piece of governance, right? It truly is. And making sure that that partnership that you have with your vendors, and we've got a number out here, right, is tightly coupled in awareness with that, and making sure that you're managing that. A data breach for one of them is still a data breach for yourself, right, when it's external. For your vantage point, Prashant, you know, just thinking about the data models themselves, the security around those. Obviously, inside of FedEx, we've been using, you know, ML and AI, frankly, extensively. You know, what is your thoughts around the guardrails we put around the data aspect, the data management, the data program, which is central too?
Yeah, so when it comes to the data, the very first thing that I would look at is like, how clean is your data, right? Is the data you know, structured in a way that your model or LLMs can look at and process the data? If your data is not clean, then you will certainly see a lot of problems. And with that comes risk. If your data is not clean and then you funnel the data through these models, then there might be a situation where, you know, there might be some data leakage, or, you know, instances like maybe some of your sensitive data goes into some logs and things like that. So once you have a clean data, then I would also look at, you know, what is the data type? What is the data classification, right? Is it public, internal, sensitive, confidential, right? And then you have to not just define that at a you know, that database point of view, but you also need to look at the data artifacts, like what is it, just clean records, but you also need to understand like what becomes a sensitive record or what becomes a public record, right? We all know that, hey, knowing someone's first name is not sensitive, it's public data. But when you add first name, last name, and maybe email address, that becomes sensitive data, right? And then once you have the data sensitivity set, then you can scope the access part for your models and LLMs, and then agentic AI bots, whatever it can be. You will scope it like, hey, for this client, for this agentic AI bot, you know, just read-only data. And then maybe you can also define at the network layer, if it is a cloud to cloud, then you will have to put some emphasis on whether we really need to open it up, or do we need to get a middleman and funnel through a gateway sort, and then, you know, get a grasp on, you know, what's the data that's flowing between these agentic processes.
Yeah, that's a very, you know, for us on the FedEx side, I think like architecture review, right, yes, is which is part of our security review process, right, is that architecture review that is, from a governance perspective, that can't be understated, I think, as well. I think, that this is where, from a, learnings perspective, like, some of the things you learn is, when you move fast, and everyone in here has got a request coming from down high, I need this tomorrow, right? I need this yesterday and move fast. But that architecture design is really important to make sure it's sustainable and secure, I think for us, and reliable. Obviously for us on the FedEx side, as you can imagine, reliability is paramount in terms of our systems that we operate. So we're very, very guarded against architecture designs and patterns that we have associated with that. I guess another thing, when I start thinking about our governance that we have around this, Prashant, is, working with all the teams. And, I met with Gene last week or week before last, and we were talking about, the governance, we're talking about the intake now, right? What we're doing around the intake and once it's embedded in your application. But there is an element now that is moving fast, right? And we saw that yesterday with the Anthropic update is the output of that, right? So the vulnerabilities that are getting exposed, how we're managing, how we're governing, how we're reacting to that. I will tell you, every board is extremely interested in that topic right now. We have our first FedEx Freight board meeting next Wednesday, as a matter of fact, and there's already questions around, what are we doing to protecting the edge around that in terms of that impacting us. And what I think, from my vantage point as CISO with FedEx Freight, right, is, and one of my team members is here, we were talking about this a lot yesterday, is the traditional methods of how we governed attack surface, the traditional methods of how we managed vulnerabilities, including end of life, right? And everyone in here has end of life hardware issues or software issues. All of us do, so how we react to that is getting turned on its head so fast right now. And, Gene and I were talking about, how we have to really change and structure our teams differently and our tools that we're doing to make sure that we can react and protect, our networks and protect our customers and protect our employees at the same time. Just your thoughts around, you were in some of the sessions yesterday, and that slide that Nick, you're talking about, it really was amazing in terms of, what's ahead of us. It's really very concerning from a CISO perspective, right? Everyone in the InfoSec profession, but your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so when I saw that that bot, a rogue bot, within a minute, what it could do, it took some time for me to process and understand, like, what if I am involved in something like that? How prepared am I, right? What are the resources that I need? What if in those what if conditions? So I was, thinking through, but, let's hope nothing comes up as a critical, but if something comes up as a critical, what is our action plan? Right. Yeah. And then in terms of vulnerabilities, I mean, it's a never stopping thing. Yeah. There's not even a single month where we could say, like, hey, I have nothing to look at, right? So it's always your emails, someone pinging you saying that, have you seen this? And I was like, yes or no, or I don't know what you're talking about, right? So it is, yes, what we have seen in yesterday's session, it's a little bit concerning, but you have to think positive and then think through, like, what if I am in a situation just like how they are showing? Yeah. What are my options? What can I do? Yeah. Who can I reach to for some help?
How many in the audience were impacted with Log4j or remediate Log4j? Pretty good many. I mean, 100x of that is truly mind-blowing a little bit, probably to those that were on the ground floor of Log4j. That was intense. to say the least. So just thinking about that was, but Gene and I were talking about that, and I do think, AI governance, it is not all on the intake side. Is really the point I want to make here, is that the output, it's flipping a little bit of how we view everything structurally within the information security organizations, to make sure that we've got line of sight into that, we've got the logging into that, we've got our business partners engaged in that, and then as that is coming out, right, it's going through the funnel and coming out, that we're really changing and altering some of our, the way we manage our attack surface at FedEx, if you can imagine, which is quite intensive and complex, both for FedEx and FedEx Freight. Both are frankly pretty complicated network in and of themselves. But kind of wrapping up here, Prashant, the key message, why don't I leave you, what's your key message maybe to close out, and then I'll kind of give my thoughts around guardrails and risk.
Yeah, I have one message. Do not stop. Once you find out, like, hey, I know how to fix this, or I know how to get your control over this scenario, do not stop there. Keep thinking, like, okay, what else? What else I can do? What else I can secure? What else, I can learn? Or what else I can introduce from process perspective, risk governance perspective. So my message to you all is, like, once you get to that step 1, step 2, step 3, do not stop. Keep learning, keep thinking, and keep looking for options, and to secure everything end to end.
That's fantastic, Prashant. And I think for closing, for me, the takeaways that I would really ask of this team, right, this community, is to go back, talk to your InfoSec team, talk to if you have AI committees within your enterprise, frankly, get engaged with them, right? And as you're getting engaged with them, continue to, as Prashant said, educate yourself, educate your organizations. These events, right, like it's AI Networking Summit. I mean, you're already, we're already all wiser because of coming here, right, and immersing ourselves around similar people with similar problems and facing similar issues. But for, from a guardrail perspective, I think it's really important to have, fairly, good guardrails that are documented, policies and standards that are there, that are enforceable. Compliance standards are challenging in the fact that they're standards, but there takes some technical controls, which this team, obviously, this audience helps to enforce, to make sure that we have the logging, the monitoring, so kind of a dual governance in terms of the standards and the policies, as well as the technical controls and checks that really balance that out. So, but with that, I really appreciate everyone, attending the session this morning. I hope everyone has a great rest of the day, and as well as safe travels home, or if you're local here to Texas. Nick, turn it over to you. Yeah.